Good morning, everybody. Buenos días a todos, and welcome to our weekly TLC live in the Texas Latino Conservatives. And welcome back, Mr. Orlando Sanchez.
Good to be here.
So happy for you to be here. You had a good time in Montana?
I had a great time. I was a little depressed, not because I was back in Texas. Obviously, I love to come back to Texas, but the weather. I was watching our local weather forecaster last night, and the heat index at 11 p.m. was 103. So,
And you were enjoying a beautiful weather
yeah,
over
that's
there.
right. I left up north. It was 67 was the high, and the low was 41. So, yeah. But anyway, I'm delighted to be back. I'm delighted that we're back on TLC Live, Texas Latino Conservatives, and I'm especially delighted to be back with Miss Gomez.
Oh, every time that he comes back from Montana, he gave me, a good vibes, and he always, give me good compliments. So I like it. I'm gonna send you back more often.
Yeah.
But definitely, not only me are beautiful today. Our special guest is also, she is beautiful, she is a wife, she is a mother, and she is a very successful woman power. Betty Cardenas, welcome to TLC.
Hi, Andrea. Hi, Orlando. Thank you for having me here today.
Hi, Betty. Tell everybody where you are located in Texas.
I am in beautiful West Texas, in Lubbock, Texas, right over here where Midland, Odessa, Amarillo. So I'm in charge in West Texas.
So are you a Red Raider fan?
Of course. I'm a Red Raider fan. Yes.
All right.
Well, Betty, welcome to the Texas Latino Conservatives weekly Facebook Live, TLC Live. And we want to get to know you, want our viewers to know you, and tell us a little bit about you.
Well, first of all, I am the national chairwoman of the Republican National Hispanic Assembly, and I also serve on the presidential Latinos for Trump Advisory Board. That's a privilege for me to be part of this whole country, helping the country. And also, I'm from Mexico. I was born in Mexico. My parents they actually live in Mexico. And I came I was 6 months old when I came to this beautiful country. I'm very passionate about our culture, about our traditions. I think that's what makes America great. And I'm just so happy to be here. I'm also part of the Texas. Here in Texas, I work with the Republican Party, and we're just here to help candidates. The RNHA is the largest Republican organization for Hispanic outreach. And what we do is that we help candidates run for office, not specifically Hispanics, but also just candidates that are pro-Hispanics. And that's very important, and that also fall under the platform of the Republican Party.
So I want to tell you a little history, Betty. Back in 1992, I had launched my political career. I was a nominee for the Republican Party for House District 132 back in that era. And in the early 90s, somebody mentioned the RNHA to me. So I became the Harris County chairman of the RNHA.
Wow.
Yeah, and
awesome.
That's right. I want to share with you that we had a handful of members at that time. One of them was a guy by the name of Alberto Gonzalez. You know, Alberto became a Supreme Court Justice, the Attorney General of Texas, and was the Attorney General for President George W. Bush. The other member we had was here from Houston by the name of David Medina, who David became a Supreme Court Justice here in the state of Texas. So we have a storied career here with the RNHA in Harris County. And of course, we know our state chairwoman for the RNHA is Carmen Crenshaw, and I was very involved in Carmen's son's race for the U.S. Congress, Dan Crenshaw. So, yeah, we have a great history with the RNHA here in Harris County.
That's so good. And Carmen is doing an amazing job here in Texas. She's been, I know she started going with the candidates. She's promoting the candidates, and she's also helping them. I think we're going to focus also with some two candidates that I am very, very excited and ready to go and help get boots on the ground is Irene Armendariz. She's in El Paso, and also Monica de la Cruz. They have done an amazing job right there in the border cities. A Republican, Hispanic, female running for Congress. I mean, that's not very common. So we're here to help them.
Yeah, we have a lot of great candidates running that are Latinos, that are conservatives across the state of Texas. As you know, we're very involved in 30 races for the Texas legislature. Part
Mhm.
of our focus in the PAC this year is to focus on those 30 seats because it's important that we retain Republican conservative leadership in the state of Texas because we have redistricting coming up. So that's why
Mhm.
we're involved. And we have some great Latina candidates. We're very proud of our Hispanic women who have taken the role of leadership in politics. And speaking of that, I also understand that you're very involved with the Republic, with not only with the RNHA, but also with the NRA, the National Rifle Association. First of all, I understand you're a pretty good shot, but tell us a little bit about how you got involved with the NRA and your love of the Second Amendment of our Constitution.
I think that's one of the biggest priorities why I do this with the politics. The Second Amendment is so important for us, especially me. I'm coming from Mexico. When I go to Mexico, I don't know you. Everybody knows that Mexico, the crime has just risen. It's up the roof, and the organized crime has taken over. However, the citizens of Mexico are not armed. They are not allowed to be armed. They disarmed, and the only ones that have the arms are, of course, the government and the criminals. And so I am so pro Second Amendment. Having your guns. NRA is amazing. I am part of their outreach committee, and the reason how I got involved is because I actually owned a firearm store. And it's, if you love arms, it's probably the worst thing that can happen, you owning a firearm store, because every time somebody goes and purchases a gun and you order it for them, you end up buying one as well. So I would end up buying guns all the time. And I am very passionate. I would go to the shooting range every weekend. Of course, now I'm a little bit busier, so I can't go to the shooting range as much as I did before. But Second Amendment and the NRA is doing an amazing job trying to keep this alive, trying to keep everybody informed of their rights to own a gun. Something that Hispanics are very passionate about is actually Second Amendment. A lot of them might not own a gun, but they don't want the government taking their guns. We know what it is to come from those socialist country. One of the first steps, even the Holocaust, one of the first steps was taking your guns. And once the government takes them, they have control of everything. They took our freedom. So it's so important for us to fight for the Second Amendment. That's probably one of the top priorities that I love. This president, he is very pro keeping and letting the gun owners the rights to own a gun. And I just love everything that has to do with Second Amendment.
Betty, we just concluded, and I'm going to let Andrea ask the question because she says I hog all the time, but we just concluded a major survey of 500 likely Latino voters in Texas, overwhelmingly conservative. And one of the big questions, one of the results of our survey was the concern of Latinos about crime and the fact that they do not want, let me repeat, do not want defunding of police. So, it's very important that, safety is very important for Latinos and our families.
It is, and something that the if you notice Kamala Harris, her agenda is she has a strong gun control policy. She wants to run it. She actually said she would do an executive order against the gun owners, which is the gun control, and that is something. There is no gun control. It's either you have a gun or you don't have a gun. Against ARs as well. She's already proposed about the ARs, taking confiscating ARs, and something that we believe in police. I know that in our police officers, because we know they protect us. Something that Mexico, and I love Mexico, but something that they I don't know, for a while they took their guns away from the police officers. They didn't even have guns. And so what is it there to protect you? The police officers are there to protect our safeties in our neighborhood. And I think it's very, very, very important. All of us as Hispanics, that's one of our priorities, is to have that security for our family. If not, who protects us?
Betty, you are a mother. I am a mother too. We are Latinas, and you were pointing something very important that we're coming from. We're running away from our countries, the socialists and the communists, and we don't want to see the same thing here in this country. In the other hand, we're having kids in this country. How do we transmit the right message to our kids when it comes to guns, when it comes to to vote, because many of our kids they're already 18 and they are able to vote for the first time. But how do we transfer this right message to our kids that they were born here in this country, but at the end they are Latinos like us?
Well, I think what happens is that my generation, I blame it a little bit of my generation because my parents were very, you are patriotic. This country has adopted us, and we couldn't separate America from God. Every time I would see the flag, they were connected. It was a connection. Somehow, my generation, we have kind of let go of those traditions and our values, and I don't think it's about telling them what party to vote for, but actually this is the culture, this is our traditions, and there's such, us Hispanics, we come from different, we can't be put in a box and say this is who Hispanics are, because we have Puerto Ricanos, Nicaragua, Mexico, Salvador. I mean, we have so many with different traditions, but something that connects us is our culture, it's our heritage. We believe in God. We're very much faith believers. We top on those groups that still believe in God, and we believe in this country and our families. We're very family based, and that's something that we need to let our children know, and kind of remind them how we got here and talk about our history. A lot of them don't even know about their grandparents. A lot of them don't know the history of where it all started, and also the platforms of which what are the platforms are the candidates running for, which platforms are they running for, does it represent you as a person, what represents you as Hispanics. We're very emotional. I think you probably know someone muy emocionalistas. We will go and whatever it said, but it's not about emotions, it's about voting for the future of your children and your children's children. And if that's what it is this going to help the future? And more than anything, this generation, I see with the younger generation, the younger high school and first college years, they are actually very knowledgeable. They see what's going on. They don't like this socialist agenda that the Democrats have. If you talk to them, most of them don't like it. They understand it. There's somewhere in between the professionals and the mid-age. So that's the ages. That's why I'm saying my generation, we have to be have more communications, and of our values, our Hispanic heritage is very important, and it's coming. The Hispanic Heritage Celebration starts from September 15th to October 15th, which should be all year round, but talking to them about those heritages that we have inherited.
Interesting. You say that, Betty. One of the things that we're trying to do, and as you know, we are having our third annual Tough Tejano Award celebration. Every year, we pick a Tejano in Texas that's made contributions to the great state of Texas. This year, we were going to do it on San Jacinto Day at the Whitty Center in San Antonio, but because of COVID-19, the county judge in Bexar County shut down the county. So we've rescheduled to October 15th. So I want to personally invite you and everybody watching, if you can attend our Tough Tejano Award luncheon October 15th in San Antonio at the Whitty Center beginning at 11 a.m., we invite you to attend. You can go to our website and buy your ticket. It's Texas Conservative Latinos.com, and it's October 15th. So Betty, we invite you to come. But one of the things we're trying to do is to educate Texans of the contributions of Mexican Americans, people we call Tejanos in Texas, to the revolution that we had in 1836 and created the great state of Texas. It's not, we're not calling attention to, who won and who lost. Obviously, the Texians and the Tejanos won, but, that whole revolution, there was a lot of involvement by Mexicans already in this portion of Mexico, right? But they were upset that Santa Ana and the El Gobierno Federal Central in Mexico City was taxing them and not providing any services, right? So they were fed up with Mexico City. And so that's how the revolution essentially started. So we want to recognize Tejanos, and that's part of what we want to do through the TLC organization, our nonprofit, is educate Texans on the contribution made by Mexican Americans in the state of Texas. So we invite you to come and join us October 15th.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I will more than I would love to attend. I know I missed last year, but this year I will put it on the agenda.
Good, good.
Yes.
The other question I have for you, Betty, here in Houston, for example, most of the media identifies Hispanics as liberal Democrats, right? And it's not the case. And so tell us what it's like up in the Panhandle and North and West Texas. What are you seeing? What are your friends saying about the elections? And do you really see the majority of Latinos in your area as liberals, as voting Democrat, or are they? Is our message of conservatism and family, low taxes, limited government resonating with them?
I actually think that Hispanic. What I hear from the news is different. I believe, and I know from going across the country and actually here in West Texas, I believe Hispanics are actually going to be the largest turnout for the president. Something that we understand is the agenda of the liberal left. We understand what they're going to bring to this country, and if you notice in the riots and everything that's happening around the country, Hispanics are just on the go. You know, we're just working. We're getting across the message, but we're working. We're not rioting. We're not doing any of. We know what it is to come to this country, work hard. Those are the traits our parents showed us, and I believe that this coming elections, we will see the Hispanics go to the voting booth, and we will save this vote right here because that's who we are. I don't think the news say the truth. I'm going around everywhere, and the reach from the Hispanics more than any other statistics or polls that they're showing. I know that Hispanics are going to come out, and we will have the largest turnout for this country in these coming elections.
Yeah, I was going to say the demographics of the protesters in Portland and other cities across America are underrepresenting the Latinos and the Asian community.
Yes, 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 they are. And also, let's not forget that we are very much pro-life. Hispanics believe in pro-life. Most of them are. We have a majority that are Catholics, and we believe in God, like I mentioned a while ago, faith believers, and we believe in the gift of life. We are pro-lifers, and the agenda that the other party is bringing does not represent us. Just like Kamala Harris, she did not sign to save the babies. A Born Alive Act. After the baby is born, she was one of the senators that decided not to favor this act, which would favor the life of a child that's born. She went against that act. Like, that just brings me almost into tears. How can somebody not want a baby that's born alive to be able to live? And this act was actually going to protect that life, and she went against it. She also comes with the strongest she's been vocal against the pro-lifers like us. She says we actually don't have a voice. We shouldn't have a voice in the sector because of our stance in pro-life. These are very important topics that the Hispanic community is informed, or should be. Actually, it's our job to inform them of what's standing. And I think pro-life is a big issue. Guns is a big issue for us to be able to still own our arms, and education. The president has done an amazing job with education. So I do believe, and I have faith that Hispanics are the ones that are going to actually hold these elections.
Well, and we've just been going over the crosstabs of our poll, but I can tell you that our poll suggested yesterday, at least the top line figures, that job security, employment, health care are very important. We also asked a question about whether the state of Texas and the federal government had a good response to COVID, and most Hispanics responded that they were pleased with the response from the federal government and the state with respect to the COVID-19 response. I can also say, and I'm going to let Andrea talk, but our survey revealed that Hispanics are highly, highly motivated to turn out and vote and participate this year. And we're excited that our conservatives that we have identified, and we have a database of hundreds of thousands of conservative Latinos across the state of Texas. In fact, that's who we surveyed, were Latino voters, highly motivated to go vote. We don't need to encourage these people to vote. We just need to deliver a message and ask them to bring their family out to vote. And, I'm encouraged by the results of those polls. Andrea, you haven't seen it, but you'll be very excited to hear about the results.
Yeah, I was reading about it, but I'm more excited not only the Latinos, as Orlando is saying, but I'm more excited about the Latinas, just the women.
Yes.
The women is a women power. It's
Yes.
amazing how women we are getting involved more and more. And at the end of the day, we are the one that moved the whole family. I remember since my dad and my parents came to this country, and now my dad is a U.S. citizen. My mom not yet, but she is on the way. But I remember from the first time that my dad got his citizenship of this country, the first thing I told him, I like, you need to go and vote, and I'm gonna go with you, and I'm gonna teach you about the candidates. I was doing the news in that time, back in my time at one of the Spanish station. I was doing the news, and I was just telling him. And now till these days, every election, whether which is local or the presidential election, I tell him we need to go and vote. So he says like, okay, I just only know about the ones that is always advertised on the news. Just tell me about the other ones. So, we're women, we have a big responsibility in our family. And I've seen you very involved, very active on that. And I'm seeing every single day more women getting involved. And I think that's going to make a big difference, not only in the Latin community, but in the whole country.
Mhm. And you're right, Andrea. Something that we have, and it's not just, we can't be soft spoken about it anymore. We need to have a bold message, a bold voice, because the future of our families. The reason why I'm doing this is the reason why probably most of the people get involved, which is our children and our family. And something that is important is that I get to see more Latinas getting involved. And actually, I don't know if you've seen the results and the actual polls on what the president has done for the Latinas. The minority female are the ones that are leading as ownership of small business. For the small business administration gave us those results. And imagine, like, we are leading in the small businesses owned by Latinas. And this is so important for us because for a while we were just the ones that we weren't even on, probably at the bottom of the chart. And now we have a great opportunity, something that I understand the other party, something that Kamala Harris, USMCA, I don't know, this is a great opportunity. And I'm calling this out for all the Latinas out there. Seek opportunities for businesses. United States Mexico Canada agreement, which is a business that's going to bring the economy is going to rise within these three countries. And something that Kamala Harris she was one of the ones that signed against it. She signed against bringing rising the economy, bringing the economy up here in the United States. Being from California, which is California would benefit, probably one of the states that would benefit the most, because it brings a lot of Mexico importation. So this is just something I'm very excited about, United States Mexico Canada agreement, because I want Texas to take a lot of it. I'm like, we need to keep businesses in here. We need to bring more industrial. I mean, there's so much opportunity that this president is bringing, and future opportunities. He's going to need another 4 years for this USMCA to be able to flourish, and more here in the United States. And that's a great opportunity for us businesses.
We have a comment. We don't have a question yet, but we have a comment, and it's Jenny Elizondo. She said, thank you for sharing our conservative values, which is Latinos all have in common. They just need to be reminded. That's very important. We need to remind and constantly highlight that, because sometimes that's what it takes for us to participate more and encourage our families and our kids. It's not just the community in general, but it needs to start from home. It needs to start from our own kids and our own family to make the difference.
One of the comments I want to make is that, Betty, I've been in politics for a lot of years. I started back in the 80s, really paying attention to politics. And one of the things I noticed, and you guys may be too young, but for those of us that are young, for those of you that are young, not counting myself as part of the young, that are watching us, uh, there's a movement going on in Texas that reminds me of the 1980s when Ronald Reagan was running for president of the United States. They had what they called the moral majority. And there was a young man somewhere in Alabama, or, I can't remember, it was Georgia, Mississippi, the southeast portion of the country, by the name of Ralph Reed. And he was energetic like you, Betty. He was a Christian conservative, and they called themselves, the silent majority, the moral majority. And there was an awakening in the 80s. And that
Mhm.
awakening, uh, from people observing all that had gone on through the 60s and 70s, civil rights, the Vietnam War, the riots at the convention, the
Mhm.
Democratic Convention in Chicago, the rise of communism and the leftists in this country, the Cuban Missile Crisis. People were upset. And so there was the silent majority that was watching and observing, and they rose to elect one of the most popular presidents of the United States, Ronald Reagan. What I'm seeing in Texas is that there is a silent Hispanic majority that is now beginning to, awaken and air their opinions and their voices. And frankly, I think that people are shocked that they're turning out to be conservative,
Mhm.
because the media has spoon fed us so much that we Latinos are liberal Democrats embracing, big government, big taxes, defunding of police, the rise of socialism, and none of that could be further from the truth. And the other important thing, and I know you play a very important role in this, Betty, is the rise of the Latino evangelicals in the state of Texas.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
is a great movement. You're a very Christian woman. I know that because so much of your life is dedicated to your church and to your family and to your community. I'm saying all that to ask you, am I wrong in my opinion, or do you too see a movement, a conservative movement by Latinos in this state?
You're absolutely right. There is a movement, and it is that silent majority. It's the silent majority. It's even, I think it's even going to be bigger. There's going to be a bigger wave than 2016, because 2016 was a little bit confusing for some, but now the Hispanics know there's going to be more adding to this, to the more running, sorry, to the voting booth. And as a Christian, I can tell you, as a Christian, my parents are pastors. I was raised in a pastor's home, and I've been a Christian all my life. And so I know, and this is a message to the pastors. I know a lot of them don't want to talk about politics. They don't want to say anything about politics, but politics sneaks into our churches. Like it comes into our churches. How? Because we don't go and vote. If we don't go and vote for biblical values, for our biblical principles, which to me, that's the priority, then we can't cry about it. We can't go and cry and say, wait, what's happening? My kids are going to live in a world that's not the same that I lived in. And we have to take action. And I think the church is rising as well. And they are going to go to the booth as well. We see what's happening in New York. I have a lot of friends in New York, and I'm saying, you know what? New York should have woken up. I mean, it's like it's blood everywhere of the babies that they have actually, the pro-abortion act there. Imagine all the babies that have been killed actually. And so we see this in New York. We see New Yorkers that they're just saying, this is just going bad. It's getting from bad to worse, and something that it's time for us to take actions. We don't want what's happening in New York to happen to the beautiful state of Texas. And so I believe Texas is going to rise up. We're going to keep it red and strong, bright red, like completely red, because we know what our faith is and we know where we stand. And something that I've said about Texas, I think our ground is very fruitful. We are blessed and we have the favor of God. And therefore, I know for a fact we're not going to lose Texas.
Well, I'm really
Amen.
yeah, I'm really
Good.
encouraged by your views on that, and for everybody that's watching, that's a Latino that's been sort of on the sidelines. that's been a quiet conservative, hasn't really participated in the electoral process. We're really encouraging you not only to come vote this year, to register and vote, but to encourage your friends to speak out, to let your positions, your values. We simply tell people at the Texas Latino Conservatives, vote your values,
Mhm.
vote your values. I mean,
Mhm.
study the candidates, study the parties, study the issues, study the platforms. But at the end of the day, Betty, as you say, you have to vote your values. You can't sit at church in the pews on Sunday and then go vote for an organization or a candidate or a party that is contrary to your values and to your family's
Mhm.
values. So
Mhm.
as long as we register and as long as we vote, I agree with you. The state of Texas will continue to be red. Now it'll become more, the Latino voice will be greater, but I welcome the Latino voice. I'm not afraid of the Latino community. I don't care if they're Venezuelans, Cubans, Puerto
Mhm.
Ricans, or Mexicans, because as you said earlier, I know our culture. And so we have different nationalities and we may eat different types of beans. And I don't like arepas, but she may not like black beans. And, we may not like fajitas, but what at the end of the day, as you say, we are one big giant culture. We know our culture and we
Mhm.
know that the state of Texas will be in good hands as long as our cultural values are represented in the polls.
Yes. And something, I do want to say something. I know you hear very positive words. I'm very encouraged because of what I hear and what I see. Um, but however, we are facing a challenge. There is a challenge. The other party, the liberal left, and all they're pouring money, they're putting efforts, they're registering voters as we go. And so there is a challenge, and we have to, not just one person, we have to bring family, we have to bring friends. I always tell my families and friends and our members, I'm like, take several to the voting polls, take them, and not, let's do a friend night or something. But it does take an effort, just like the other ones are doing. They're having an effort, they're taking an effort, but we should also put as much as we can and challenge ourselves, put some goals for our churches, for our community, and say, okay, what can we do for this? Because I know what we believe. I know the Hispanic community will not let us down. Um, I am I am very positive, but I also know the challenges and I see the giant, but I know who beat the giant, and I know we will beat this giant.
Well, it's very well said, Betty. And for the pastors that are watching us, I'm sure that you have a lot of following by pastors, being the daughter of a pastor, being very involved in your church. For the pastors watching us, por favor, 15 minutos el día de las elecciones, noviembre 3, salgan a votar y embullen a todos los miembros de su iglesia que también salgan a votar. Encourage your congregants on November 3rd to go out and vote. You have several weeks before November 3rd to vote during early voting. Encourage your members at your church, your congregation, encourage your parishioners to go vote.
Mhm.
And as Betty says, for those of you that have 18-year-olds at home, take them out to vote and bring their friends, make sure they vote conservative.
Definitely. We need to make a voting party. Like
That's right.
take
Yes,
everybody.
yes, yes, yes. And just vote your values. Vote who you are. Vote your values. As we are Hispanics, we know our values. A lot of them, we remind them. Not they remind us. Actually, we get a lot of emails from a lot of young Hispanics, and they say, we remember my abuelita, my abuelito de Braceros, how they got here, and the values that were instilled in them. That's what we need to go and vote for on the voting booth and keep this country, that beautiful country that has welcomed us.
Betty, it's very interesting that you mentioned abuelitas.
Hmm.
Uh, we're having, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think we're having a little video issue here. There's a little delay, so I don't know when you stop talking. But speaking
Mhm.
of abuelitas, tomorrow, I hope our pack will be releasing the debut of a abuelita commercial. We have a spot that we filmed that we had a big conversation here at the pack, and we said, who is the matriarch of the Latino family? Is the abuela? No, so we
Mhm.
now have
Mhm.
a commercial that's coming out tomorrow, and I hope you'll stay tuned and watch it. It's called our Abuelita commercial. So I'm glad you mentioned the important role of grandmas or abuelitas in the Latino family.
I love it. I love it. Great initiative. Get the abuelitas involved. I mean, they'll put the chancla on us if we don't do the
Oh,
right
yes.
thing. Yes, yes, yes.
We need the chancla on November 3rd with the whole family, like, go out and vote.
Oh, you will vote. You will go and vote. Believe me, you will go and vote what abuelita wants you to go and vote for. So those abuelitas, we need them. We need them. Though, it is proven that in 2016 it was those abuelitas, the grandma, grandpas that went to the voting booth voting. Some of them had never voted or hadn't voted in a long time, and they went to the voting booth to vote. They knew it was we were where this country was heading in 2016. So they saved our country, our abuelitas as well. And so this is so important.
Betty, I don't want to hog all the time because I know Andrea's going to say, you took all the time today. She's going to complain, but
No, I'm fine.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention you have beautiful children, but there's one in particular that I'm most impressed with because I've seen him, and that's Abraham. And so I want you to, gloat a little bit about Abraham and tell us what he's doing in his involvement, because I think he is the next wave of leaders in the conservative movement in this country. So tell us a little bit about Abraham.
Oh, well, thank you, Orlando. You should have never asked me that because I love all my children. I'm a proud mama. And I have been so blessed. All three of my children are different. One of them is studying, he's in med school. He does not know much he knows he has to go and vote. He knows that mama will get the chancla if he doesn't vote for the right one. So that's all he knows. But my oldest one, he's a political science major. He's very passionate. And I'm so blessed because I don't see this very often, a mama and son. And he is very passionate about the country, about where it's heading. He loves. So something that most of the people don't know is that my two oldest sons, as soon as school would finish, May 30th, or with the last day of school, the next day they were on a flight to Mexico to spend the whole summer with their grandparents. They did this for years. So he speaks a lot about abuelita, abuelito, missionary work, all of this stuff, and what this country has provided. We're the ones that have sent the most missionaries to around the world. And so he loves everything. And the outreach that he does is nonpartisan. He just goes around the country and reminds everybody of their values and traditions. And it's not about party, but it's about values and traditions, just what we spoke about a while ago. And he has been able to get most of the social media influencers that are Hispanics have been joining the efforts. And there's a big message, they're always posting messages about the values and reminding and celebrating our heritage. To me, that's just, I see the progress that they have done in such a short time. They have been invited to the White House constantly. We sent something very beautiful that his organization did. They were asked to see if they had somebody that could, the graduations didn't happen around the country because of COVID. However, the president wanted to celebrate and do a small graduation for a small group of students, and they asked his organization. He was able to send one of his members that's part of Bienvenido. He's a Hispanic son of immigrants, and this kid calls my son, and he's just bawling, he's crying, and he's saying, "I can't believe somebody that's a son of an immigrant. I'm actually going to the White House, and the president is going to be there." And he just couldn't believe the big honor that he had to go there. And I actually think the president had a big honor to have someone like this because they are so talented. They have brought so much to this country, and that's something that my son loves to highlight our successes that we have, everything that we do here in this country. And he actually started his own show. It's the Abraham Enriquez Show, where he will be highlighting Hispanic figures, what they do. and it's not based on party. It's based on what they have contributed to this country. I know the Goya owner has already spoken to him. They've spoken thanks to Mr. Rick Vieira that was able to do this connection, and he's going to be speaking, just highlighting our Hispanics here in this country. That's something that Abraham is doing, and I'm just so proud that he's able to. We sometimes have discussions. I mean, we don't always agree. I'm very party, I'm very Republic. I'm like, okay, he's also very conservative. If you talk to him, but he also understands that the values and for the younger kids, as soon as you talk about party or as soon as you talk about Trump, they just a lot of them, they just don't want to follow. They know their values, they know everything. But when you talk about a party, associating them with a party or with a person, they want to feel free. And so this gives them that opportunity.
Well, Betty, congratulations. I mean, I know you've invested a lot of energy and time in your family, and it's very evident. But, here's my takeaway. I say this every program. Andrea's an immigrant. I'm an immigrant. You're the child of immigrants. And we're all living the dream. I mean, I, as an immigrant, actually served on the Houston City Council for 6 years.
Mm-hmm. Only in America.
I've run for mayor of the 4th largest city in America twice. I was elected the county treasurer of the 3rd largest county in the United States, only in America. She's been an anchor for a major television network. Your children are all obviously very successful. One is going to be helping society as a physician. Abraham is running a nonprofit that is helping Latinos. I mean, and this only happens in America. I mean, yes. I certainly couldn't have had this life in communist Cuba. She certainly couldn't have grown up in Colombia doing that during the FARC and during the narco traffic, right?
And in the time of Pablo Escobar, forget it.
No, it no. And you're right. This is a land of opportunities. When you come and there's nothing. That's something I've told my kids. There's nothing that you cannot conquer if you put your all into what you want. This land has given us that opportunity to be able to make that dream come true. That's why Orlando, there's all these people that come from all across the world. Where do they want to go? They want to come here. A lot of them risk their lives dying in the desert. A lot of them risk their lives. Whoever knows how they have risked their lives coming here, because this is the land of opportunity. And what a blessing it is to be here. I am so thankful that my parents came over here, lived here, and they risked, to come over here. Letting go of a country that you love and you live, it's hard. It's hard for them, but they came. And I just feel so blessed now seeing my children, and they value that. They value because they have been interacting in other countries as missionaries, and they know what it is to be in America. I think a lot of people just need to travel the world, and they will know what it is, how blessed we are to be here in America.
Definitely. And the same with my kids. I'm an immigrant, but they were born here, and now that they're 15 years old, I have twins, and they always tell me, Mom, thanks for having us here in this country. This is the best country in the world.
It is. And something that when I went to Mexico, I remember, and I will never forget the first time I went to Mexico. I was 7 years old after I came. 7 years old, my first trip to Mexico. And it was a bad trip. I mean, everything went bad. It was not a good trip, and I just cried every day wanting to come back home. I was wanting to come back home. And when I came from El Paso to Juarez to El Paso, I saw the big flag there waving in the air, and I remember I was in the back seat, and I just started crying because I knew I was back home. I was safe. There was a protection that went with that flag. There was something that was back home, and I was so happy. And my mom was like, what's happening? I'm like, I was happy but crying. I'm like, I'm just back home. I feel safe. This is America, and that's what we want to do. We want to keep it safe. We don't want all this violence that's going on. We are against this violence. This does not represent us. This does not represent America. It does not represent us as Hispanics. So I'm just very proud of who we are and our culture.
Well, Betty, we want to thank you for taking the time out. I know you're very busy with your duties as National Chairwoman of the Republican National Hispanic Assembly. We also know that you're very busy as I understand, on the board of the National Rifle Association. You're a mom of beautiful, contributing young Americans who are working very hard.
Mhm.
You're a business owner. You're frankly an amazing woman up in the Panhandle, and if you ever decide to move, I hope you'll come down to the Gulf Coast and make Harris County your home. But we have really enjoyed having you. This is just a representation of the thousands and thousands of conservative Latinos across the state of Texas. We have quite a following on Facebook, Betty. As you know, several tens of thousands of people will be watching this program, not only today, but tomorrow and in the coming week. And they do so because we bring young leaders and showcase successful, hardworking, patriotic, God-fearing Americans that happen to be Latino on our program. And I know that the media cringes every time we do that, but we also know for a fact that the media does follow us, right, Andrea?
Oh, yeah. For sure. Every time that we have somebody in our show, I mean, it just that, like all of a sudden they have it in their news. So something we're doing good.
Yep. All right.
So, okay. Well, Betty, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to meet you through Zoom, through through Facebook
Yes.
Live. And thank you for your time, definitely. And keep the work and keep, encourage Latinas, las mujeres al poder. Y definitivamente tenemos que seguir las latinas dándole el ejemplo a nuestros hijos y que
Sí.
sigamos conservando los valores y sigamos haciendo que nuestros hijos, porque en las manos de ellos está el futuro de este país y en nuestras manos está que ellos hagan de ese futuro un mejor futuro.
Así es. Así es. Muchas gracias por la invitación y invito a todos a que sigan este programa. Es algo que es esencial y que se ocupa. También los invito a que vayan a la selección el día del 3 de noviembre, que vayan y por favor voten. Nuestra fe está ahorita a riesgo. Solo ocupamos que los cristianos, la gente de fe, nosotros que creemos en la familia, vayamos a las votaciones y votemos. Es muy importante que no nos quedemos y que por favor, sigamos nuestro, how do you say, your inner self, as far as vayan a votar por el futuro de este país. Solo, por favor, no se queden en casa y aquí estamos. Muchas gracias por la invitación, Orlando, Andrea, muchas gracias y espero estar con ustedes nuevamente.
Ok, Betty, bueno, que pases buena semana y disfrutes el fin de semana. Buenas palabras, recordándole a todo el mundo que vote y no se olviden que en septiembre, el día 19, tenemos una corrida por el condado de Uvalde, Valverde, y también el condado de Maverick, y vamos a acabar en Bexar County, en el condado de donde está ubicado San Antonio. Así que vamos a ir con muchos políticos hispanos, líderes del estado de Texas, incluyendo la miembro de la Corte Suprema, Eva Guzmán, que es la candidata que más votos recibe en el estado de Texas. Así que nuestros amigos en Del Rio, Uvalde, Eagle Pass, and San Antonio, we'll see you around September 19th on our bus tour, so make sure you join us. All the information is on our web page.
Betty, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
The dog is there.
Oh my goodness, my dog. He's the one that dropped my whole thing. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank
everybody,
you.
for watching us every week. And we want to invite you to join us in the Texas Latino Conservatives.com. Become a member, support us, and please like us on Facebook and our social media. And, keeping track all the events that we're coming up in this year.
Bye all.
Bye bye. See you next Wednesday.